And other people, they don't understand it until they understand it, and then they get it. It's like that conversation with Keith McCullough, you know, and it's like,
oh my God,
he's going, well, when I sell Bitcoin, and I said, well, Keith, if you understood Bitcoin, you could never sell Bitcoin. Like, nobody that understands it could sell it. If you're trading it, you don't understand it. You know, it's a shiny object, like a lure spinning at the end of a fish hook. And you're thinking somehow that you're playing with the stupid shiny object, like juggling fire or something. And it hasn't occurred to you, you know, I give you the gift of fire. You can change the civilization. It's the most important thing of humanity. And you're trying to juggle these little sparklers on the 4th of July, right? You either get it or you don't get it. But once you get it, you're like, well, hey, we invented fire here. I got to explain this to you. This is important. This is a big deal. It's not a shiny lure at the end of a fish hook. I'm not a big fan of traders and financiers. Like, in general, I think when we start to talk about trading and when we characterize Bitcoin as, oh, it's a call option, it's an uncorrelated asset, you know, I got this macroeconomic model. You know, what I want to do is I want to shake all these people and say, I give you the gift of fire. It's elevating the human race above the animals, and it's going to be the key to human civilization and us spreading throughout the galaxy. And you want to juggle it? If Bitcoin was known as the network of absolute, complete privacy, it would be counterproductive to the interest of Bitcoin. Because right now, the regulators in most countries, there's two use cases, there's multiple use cases, right? There's one use case, store of value over a long period of time. There's another use case, medium of exchange for coffee. There's a third use case, buying stuff in an uncensored way so that governments can't stop. There are three different use cases. Now, which of the three is most important? I happen to think there's a $250 trillion value to store of value. What's it? We can store all $250 trillion that's in bonds and equity and precious metals and investment commercial real estate on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin network, with the current bandwidth, with the current block size, with the current settlement speeds. We can store all $250 trillion forever and keep it safe for 100 years, 200 years, 500 years. Is that valuable? Yeah. Is that enough? Yeah, actually, that's enough. Like, do you need to have more value proposition than 250? Let me say it again. We can store $250 trillion forever. Okay, so you think there's a problem with the value proposition of a $250 billion network? I don't think so. But one day there'll be more than 250 trillion. We can store, what's like 2,500 trillion? How much is that? It's a lot of money, right? Quadrillion something? We can store that much money on the network forever. Now, you want to buy a pizza or a coffee? Would I use Bitcoin Cash? No, I would use Apple Pay. I would use, you know, would I use Square or PayPal? I wouldn't even use PayPal or Square, right? I mean, I wouldn't bother to download another tool. I would use Apple Pay, but you might use Square, or you might use PayPal, or you might use, you know, Google Pay, or you might use something on Amazon. Am I going to use a crypto network? No, probably not. If you're doing something which is compliant with and is not multi-jurisdictional, you don't need a crypto. You absolutely need a crypto as store of value for the next, 500 years across all jurisdictions. It's pretty obvious if you want virtual gold, you need crypto. You don't need crypto to buy a pizza. It's a silly notion. It's silly to say you're gonna run Bitcoin 20 times faster by doubling the block size because Apple Pay is going to run it 20 billion times faster. Oh, but like if I'm a criminal on the run, I can't order a pizza with Apple Pay. Yeah, I guess. Give me a list, like what percentage of the world is concerned about that use case? I don't think many. So I don't really see the value proposition for routine medium of exchange being dominated by crypto. I think that centralized networks, right? Look, the real question is, will Square be able to compete against Apple Pay? That's the question. That's the hard thing. There is zero chance that a crypto network is competing against Apple Pay. And there's zero need, because the average person doesn't need to put more than 5% of their monetary energy into a mobile wallet in any given period, right? So for your sweep working capital accounts, you're going to use centralized banks, mobile banks, or conventional banks. And that takes me to privacy. Is there a place for privacy and censorship resistance? Sure there is. Who's going to do it? Probably some special purpose crypto network will develop it. What's wrong with just sweeping your money into that thing? You know, if what you want to do is have a bunch of non-censorable, non-trackable, pure cash transactions, do that. Is there compliance risk? Yeah, a lot. Right? Will governments attack it? Certainly. Will the Chinese? You bet. Right? They're attacking Bitcoin. What do you think they do about privacy coin? Right? Well, the Russians have not shut down Bitcoin, but they'll shut down privacy coin. Will the American government? Probably. Like, it seems to me like it's putting a bullseye in your forehead. So you have a choice. Daniel, I'll ask you this question. If you had a choice, you could make Bitcoin completely private, uncensorable, dark web, untraceable tomorrow. Or you could wait for Bitcoin's price to go to $1 million. And then we could talk about it again. Which of the two would you choose?